First of all, wow. First of all, I want to give all, praise and credit and honor to God. Thanks to God for allowing me to be here today, and also my mom and my family. My sister-in-law is here, and her mom is here as well. They're chilling out with my mom. A friend just came through. I was chilling out with my mom. Peace to you guys, first of all. But as you can see, I'm going to discuss Erislandy Lara versus Jarrett Hurd. I'm review that fight. It was dope. It was a dope fight. I mean, it was awesome. Leave your comments in the chat section. I'm gonna start off a piece of scripture, and then I'm gonna go straight into the fight. All right. Stuff be falling out on my stuff, guys. I need to go in my bed and sleep after this. So I don't know how we're gonna do that, but behold, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. This is Psalms 133. You guys can check it out. It's like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garment, as the dew of Hermon, as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. But there the Lord commanded the blessing, and even life forevermore. You know what's so sweet about this? It's talking about a lot of things that have to do with priests and temple. But what's sweet about it is the oil. That oil is the spirit. And if you have a spirit of love, that's the Holy Spirit, basically. You're gonna want to work together with people in unity and in harmony, not in discord and in dissension, but in unity and harmony. And we've been talking about the body of Christ for this entire week. And we started off this week. We ended last week with that, and we started this week with that. And I still advocate, man. I was blessed today when a brother came through home here. I think I'm going to call your name on social media. Troy, man. Peace to you, brother. You got the spirit in you, man. And just much love to you, brother. Much love to you. He came through, man, and spoke by the spirit and stuff. And it was really cool because for me, when I saw him speak and certain things that, was going on, he knew by the spirit. I don't know if he knew what he was saying, but he knew by the spirit. And that's why I said, man, the body of Christ is huge, it's big, and we have to start working together as brethren in that body. And let me just say, let you guys know, Jesus is real. That's why I said shout out to Jesus right now. Jesus, I'm talking about you. Shout out to Jesus, shout out to God the Father. You know what I'm saying? Dope. And I can't give more props to them. Because of them, I'm here. Sometimes you hear the boxers say, without God, none of this would have been possible. So I give all thanks to God. Man, I really believe that. Without God, without Jesus, none of this would be possible right now. Or I'm talking to you guys. So I want to give him all the credit, all the honor and the glory. And if you guys don't know who that is, man, you guys are missing out. And let me just say, man, the body's huge. The body of Christ, the kingdom of God. And it all started off when Christ died. And I'm just saying, man, welcome to the body, man. If come to the body, man. Let's talk, man. We talk things about Christ. If you guys want to talk anything about Christ in the middle of this boxing stuff, please do. Hey, look, we talk sports. You know why I talk sports and entertainment? Because it's one of the positive things in society. Most people are attracted to sports and entertainment. I know some of you guys are attracted to boxing, so that's why I talk boxing with you guys. But really, at the end of the day, I just want you guys to be inspired, to be good people out there, and to really understand and tap into the source of goodness and really let that be, govern your life. So that's really what it's all about. Anyway, let's go to it. People, if you want to give a shout out in the chat section. I'm very tired. I surely should be in my bed sleeping right now, but here I am talking to you guys. And we got to share the gospel. We got to share Jesus. We got to share God with you guys. You know what I'm saying? We just had to put it down. So I start off with that, and we're gonna talk about the review with Erislandy Lara and Jarrett Hurd. And first of all, I want to just say that I scored the fight, and I'm going to be very specific with you guys, what I thought about that fight, so you guys can know. And I'll even give analogies to the Christian experience. First of all, it was a stellar performance by both boxers, both Jarrett Hurd and Erislandy Lara. Let me just start off by saying that. Again, you guys can just leave your comments in the chat section. Shout out in the chat section. I'm watching you guys. I'm paying attention to the chat section as we speak. So if you want to give a shout out and etc. in the chat section, you want to like this stream, please feel free to do so. Okay. So let me give you a breakdown of the fight. The breakdown of the fight is basically the first half of the fight, Erislandy Lara was doing better than Jarrett Hurd. And the latter end of the fight is where Jarrett Hurd came on, and he did exceptionally well. In fact, he is able to drop Erislandy Lara in the 12th and final round, bust his eye in the 12th and final round. So that's in essence what that fight looked like. Now, let me be a little bit more specific. So I thought that Erislandy Lara took more or less. I mean, some of those rounds were pretty close, but the first 5 rounds, I thought Erislandy Lara did exceptionally well. He wasn't necessarily controlling Jarrett Hurd. He wasn't really always hitting Jarrett Hurd flush. Jarrett Hurd actually has a pretty decent defense. But, you know, he was the guy pretty much who was the one who was landing most of his punches. And there weren't many that he landed on Jarrett Hurd, to be honest with you. I also noticed that Erislandy Lara chose in this fight, because of the Canelo fight possibly, to do less sticking and moving and actually infight with Jarrett Hurd, which I thought was very interesting. Mind you, as the rounds are going by, Jarrett Hurd is stealing a body punch here, stealing a body punch there. And I thought that was very interesting as well, as he was trying to get body punches in. Now, even though he didn't land all his body punches, he would, because Erislandy Lara has a very good defense and he's blocking a lot of the shots. Jarrett Hurd was increasingly taking up the tempo, practicing, trying to get those body shots in, using his distance, snapping back where necessary, using feints to get in the inside, particularly coming off of the jab. He would try and get to the inside, you know, and then he would try and land his body shots. It's ironic, but Jarrett Hurd is actually not an outboxer. For all his height and all his build, Jarrett Hurd is actually an infighter. He likes to get to the inside and land his body shots and break you down. And in this fight, that's what he did. He likes to use the bobbing and weaving, where he bob and weave like this, you know, and go all the way back this way and bob and weave under. Okay, so he'd use a lot of bobbing and weaving to get in on his opponent. I saw him also using shifting, like Gennady Golovkin. So he would shift his stance. Sometimes he would go from orthodox. He would shift into southpaw. So he would slide in on you, shift his stance. Sometimes he'd lead off his right hand. Sometimes he'd lead off his left. That's on the outside, coming to the inside. On the inside, Erislandy Lara actually did some great inside work. Again, you form a T angle, your opponent can't really land the body shots that he wants. So defensively, these two fighters were doing exceptionally well. Now, I wanted to say another thing that I noticed in the fight, in breaking it down for you guys who were looking at it. I would say that this was a very, 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 very close fight. This was a very close fight. In fact, I would say that Jarrett Hurd versus Erislandy Lara was a fantastic fight that would have probably ended in a draw had not Jarrett Hurd knocked down Erislandy Lara in the 12th and final round. Legendary Boxer says Lara versus Hurd was fight of the year for sure. Man, it was legendary, my brother. You were right. It's one of those throwback fights. There are things that Jarrett Hurd does in there. He's not always the most coordinated boxer. He's not the most sharp boxer. But one of the things he does in there is he does some old school things, like he rolls with both shoulders. Okay. His offense is varied. He can sometimes you know, touch jab. Sometimes he can lead off with the jab. Sometimes he can power jab and slide in, and he does it in really nice rhythmic patterns that you can't read. He doesn't telegraph his jab, so that's really nice. He can also lead off of his lead hand, you know. And so I think that that is really beautiful what Jarrett Hurd was doing. Legendary Boxer says, did you hear who Kell Brook is fighting next? Very soft touch. World Boxing News released the name. Okay. First of all, let me ask you, who is Kell Brook fighting next? And also, I want to know, is he fighting at super welterweight? Because I think his last fight was at super welterweight. So if it is a soft touch, it's because, again, if you do remember, Kell Brook injured himself. And so it's just another tune-up fight before he's trying to get the Khan fight. I don't know if he'll get that, but he's at super welterweight right now, which is in the division where Erislandy Lara faced Jarrett Hurd. And just going back to Jarrett Hurd, so I answer your question, Legendary Boxer. And a number of things that Jarrett Hurd does well, but one of the things I noticed is that Jarrett Hurd is an extremely big, extremely powerful, extremely strong super welterweight. When I look at Jarrett Hurd compared to Erislandy Lara looks like a little boy compared to Jarrett Hurd. So that one of the attributes, which is astonishingly good, that works in his favor was that Jarrett Hurd was extremely big. He's a much bigger super welterweight than all the super welterweights out there, and as a result of that, he's able to take punishment, like some really flush shots that Erislandy Lara landed on him, some uppercuts and straight lefts, mostly uppercuts and straight lefts. He did hit him with one or two right hooks, check hooks, but for the most part, Erislandy Lara was hitting him with straight lefts and uppercuts and stabs to the pit where he could get him. But the other thing about Jarrett Hurd is he's not just a big, tall, powerful guy that takes punches. No. He has a decent defense as well. He varies. He rides punches. He bobs and weaves under punches. He snaps back away from punches or rides them. So he has all these varied things that he can do in his game. So he has a decent high guard defense that covers most of his body. So it's kind of hard to get to his body. So I found that Jarrett Hurd really did an excellent job against Erislandy Lara. Erislandy Lara also did an excellent job against Jarrett Hurd. For the most part, Jarrett Hurd hit him with arms, hit his arms, his elbows, his hands. But because Jarrett Hurd is such a big, powerful super welterweight, he would actually punch Erislandy Lara on his arms and knock Erislandy Lara's head back. That's to tell you how powerful he is. So he hit with an uppercut, and I saw him hit Erislandy Lara 3 uppercuts, right? 3 uppercuts Erislandy Lara received on his guard and snapped his head back 3 times. So even though he had a guard, this dude was punching so hard, he punched through the guard and still hit the guy in his head. You know what I mean? And that's some crazy stuff right there. So Jarrett Hurd is a big, like, he could be easily a middleweight, easily. He probably comes in a super middleweight in terms of size and weight, but I think he would easily be able to go into middleweight and fight there, right? The thing about it is, though, I think he depends, like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., on his size a lot. So where he's not as sharp in boxing, even though he has a lot of variety of skills, he's not as sharp as other boxers. Sometimes he slap his punches, whatever. He still has this humongous size, which allows him to be able to deal with sharper skilled opponents or more honed skilled opponents that may not have as much a variety of skills as he has, but definitely they're much more accurate. And Lara is a very accurate boxer, as you know. Now, having said all of that, I want to tell you what these 2 boxers were fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, it was a good fight. The difference between Austin Trout versus Jarrett Hurd and Erislandy Lara versus Jarrett Hurd is Erislandy Lara fought in a very smart manner. So a lot of people say, well, why Erislandy Lara wasn't boxing on the back foot and making Jarrett Hurd catch him? One, Erislandy Lara realized that sort of style wouldn't win him the fight because he did that sort of thing against Canelo and it didn't work out very well. The second reason why he probably did that was because he wanted to show variety, and he also knew if he could close the gap and smother Jarrett Hurd, he would actually be able to run his shots on the inside. Now, here's where Jarrett Hurd flourished a lot, and it was mostly in the later rounds. Jarrett Hurd kind of separated himself from Erislandy Lara. Erislandy Lara took a lot of punishment in the 8th, 9th round. He came back in the 10th and the 11th, and then, of course, Jarrett Hurd really beat him up pretty bad in the 12th and at the end of the 11th. Now, whenever Erislandy Lara tried to clinch Jarrett Hurd would try to break that. He would not allow Erislandy Lara to clinch him to buy time. And this is where Jarrett Hurd in the 8th round and 9th round was able to hit Erislandy Lara with some hooks that really bothered him bad, damaged him bad. And he was actually able to do some damage on Erislandy Lara in the rounds 8 and round 9. In fact, he really, I mean, all the other rounds you could say was up for debate on who really won that round, clearly, right? But rounds 8 and 9 were clear rounds, and round 12 was a very clear round where, there was no doubt in anybody's minds who won that round, right? So I would say that Jarrett Hurd convincingly won rounds 8, 9, and then round 12. Okay. Having said that, though, Erislandy Lara really impressed me in how he was able to dig to the inside, fight on the inside. The only thing that I think he sort of lacked in this whole entire fight was he kept on headhunting Jarrett Hurd. Now, Jarrett Hurd's strategy really paid off later on in the fight, where he was just getting stronger and stronger. And because Erislandy was just headhunting Jarrett Hurd for the most part, Jarrett Hurd had the stamina to go all 12 rounds. Erislandy Lara, on the other hand, he was taking body shots. And round 8 and 9 particularly, he took some really clean body shots. And round 12, what really set the whole thing up was Jarrett Hurd trying to go. Jarrett Hurd fainted as if he was going to the body and was able to catch Erislandy Lara with an uppercut. I think that busted his eye, just like Canelo did. So Hurd probably studied the Canelo versus Lara fight. And in so doing, he busted Erislandy Lara's eye. And that paid off. He was softening up that eye. That eye was being softened up in rounds 8 and 9. That eye was softened up. Erislandy Lara came back in rounds 10 and 11. I think he won those 2 rounds, quite frankly. In fact, you can argue that Erislandy Lara won this fight 114 to 113 as one of the judges gave it. You could argue that, because if you think that Erislandy Lara won rounds 1 to 5 and he won rounds 10 and 11, then you would have to give the fight to Erislandy Lara. Now, however, if you thought that Jarrett Hurd won any of those rounds I just spoke about, any of them, right? Because those rounds, I would say that the fight with Erislandy, because Erislandy Lara's punches did not have that effect. He did buzz Jarrett Hurd once or twice, but really Jarrett Hurd buzzed Erislandy Lara much more. So you have to look at, when you're looking at rounds, you're looking at the activity of the boxer. You're looking at the clean, effective punches that landed. Though Jarrett Hurd's punches were not as clean and effective as Erislandy Lara's punches, some of them landed. Not clean, they were partially landing, but still they were landing, right? And the other thing you have to look at in a fight is whose punches are really having the bigger effect. And even though Erislandy Lara was blocking most of Jarrett Hurd's punches, his head was snapping back. His body was wincing, okay? That means Jarrett Hurd was hitting with thunder, okay? He was hitting hard, okay? And when Jarrett Hurd hit Erislandy Lara clean on the jaw in the 12th round, he went down, which tells you Erislandy Lara, for the most part, was not getting hit clean by Jarrett Hurd for most of the fight. It's in the 12th round he got hit clean and it busted his eye open. And then particularly at rounds 8 and 9, he got hit clean. He really did. When he was trying to clinch and Jarrett Hurd just ran it off a combination on him. And yeah, he got hit clean. In fact, he got stunned and stuff. But he's a gladiator. He fought back. In round 12, what made him get dropped, obviously, was one eye, the eye that he got hit on and busted open. He couldn't see through his peripherals. So when he was pulling out, Jarrett Hurd clipped him with the left hook, and that put him down, right? And after that, he started using his jab religiously, and he actually was coming back into round 12 and, landing some really crisp shots on Jarrett Hurd to keep him on the outside, because he realized, hey, this inside fighting thing is not working. Because that same thing happened to Guillermo Rigondeaux. He tried to pull out from being on the inside, and he got caught with an uppercut, and that put him down. So, Erislandy Lara was like, you know what, this inside fighting ain't working for me, and he started jabbing him on the outside. But suffice it to say, I was impressed by Erislandy Lara because he didn't get beat up. Like, AJ ATX, Hurd did win 8 rounds in your opinion. Okay. AJ ATX says Hurd also used roughhouse tactics, bullying Lara. I thought Lara was throwing combinations only because he was forced to fight on the inside. I didn't think so. AJ ATX said, but at the same time, Lara got ripped to the body. And then these fans say that Lara can bang in the pocket at 154 pounds like Mayweather. No way possible. Okay. First of all, I will say this. If you guys have ever watched, if you watched Badu Jack versus Adonis Stevenson, you would notice that Erislandy Lara versus Jarrett Hurd is very similar to that kind of fight. This fight was a draw, in my opinion. Or, at best case scenario, Erislandy Lara could have won this fight. Now, let me explain what I'm talking about. So, like I said, this was a close fight coming down to the finish. Jarrett Hurd, I think, won this fight because he dropped Erislandy Lara in the 12th. And I'm going to say this. Jarrett Hurd, just his size and the way how he uses his size and how he does things in that ring with his skill set, which I think is more than Erislandy Lara's skill set, I think makes him very difficult to beat. by anyone. I don't see really Jermell Charlo beating him, because Jermell Charlo is not as good as Erislandy Lara. But maybe he is. I don't know. Jermell Charlo has skills, but I don't know, man. I don't know if he can handle Jarrett Hurd, because Jarrett Hurd is a big dude. You're not going to hurt this dude. You get his attention, but you're not really going to hurt him, right? And he has decent enough defense so that you can't just hurt him like that. Like, you trying to go to the body, you're going to hit elbows and hands, and he's quick enough to get his defense in order. His footwork not always the best in the world, because sometimes tangle his feet, but for the most part, you got to really be quick and turning this guy. You got to turn him to really beat him, and you got to catch him at odd angles, and you got to be really sharp. You know, Floyd was very sharp. So anyway, on to what I was saying. So with Jarrett Hurd, he was working Lara's body. He started with pit-a-pat shots to his liver, and he would catch Erislandy Lara on his elbows, right? So it wasn't a clean shot. He just kind of, but he was touching it all the time early on. He started ripping them shots in round 8, man. He started setting it up so he would throw a combination. Erislandy Lara would sort of cover up a little bit too high, and he would be angled this way, and Hurd would just rip it to the right, to the liver, man. He would rip those liver shots. I was looking at that. He wasn't catching Erislandy Lara clean, but he was catching it like Canelo was catching him. And so, you know, he watched the Canelo fight for sure, and he knew he had to break down this guy, stop him from moving around too much. But I don't think Lara was going to move around much, and we could tell that from the opening bell. Lara was like, I'm gonna sit right in front of you and I'm gonna fight you, and he pretty much did that for most of the fight. And I like how Lara paced himself. I think Trout tried to get out the gate too fast, didn't realize that his punches was not going to have that kind of effect on Jarrett Hurd. Jarrett Hurd is a well-conditioned kind of guy. He's a big dude, and he really starts getting it going later on in the fight. He basically testing out his shots on you early and using his defense, and then later on he really started to rip those shots and really started to use his power on you. So that's what really went on in this fight with Erislandy Lara. But again, Erislandy Lara did an excellent job of smothering him when he realized that, you know, after rounds 8 and 9, where Hurd was just beating up Lara. I mean, he really beat him up in 8 and 9. He caught him with some really crisp shots, and Lara would then tighten up his defense. But even when he tightened up his defense, Hurd be punching through his defense almost. He'd be punching through the guard. You see Lara's head ripping back. And his eyes started puffing up when Hurd had caught him with I think it was a nice clean left that he caught him with. And it's interesting, in the 12th, he caught him with the same left. And you know what I'm saying? But I didn't see Lara. Lara always gets his eyes busted anyway. He got his eye busted with Canelo, same eye, by the way. So you can tell Jarrett Hurd did his homework. And he beat undoubtedly he beat Erislandy Lara better than Canelo did, but Canelo kind of left the blueprint on how to beat this dude. Because Canelo also, if you do remember, Lara did fall in the Canelo fight as well. He slipped, but he didn't really slip. It was them body punches, man. And he ran from Canelo. He didn't run from Jarrett Hurd this time. He literally ran from Canelo's punches. I'm just letting you guys remember that. And Jarrett Hurd earlier on was getting, you know, sniped to the head. But the thing with Lara is he does not do body punching, and he doesn't set up his body punches. He's a 1-2 kind of guy. Sha-sha, right? He will throw the jab and then come with the right, with the left right behind it. You know what I'm saying? Bah, right? That's his thing. You know, he might vary it with an uppercut, or he might check hook you, you know. But at the end of the day, that's his thing. He's not really into all that. And Austin Trout is just a straight left. So Jarrett Hurd just had to deal with that, which is one-dimensional, right? It's not. These guys are not Floyd. I keep on telling you guys, Erislandy Lara is a stick and move fighter. He's not Floyd Mayweather, right? Now you see he can do a little bit of inside fighting, but again, not really putting those combinations together on the inside either, right? So you can see that he's not Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather can fight you on the inside. He can fight you on it. Floyd can fight you on the inside, right? The other guy, what's his name? So that's Erislandy Lara that people compared to Floyd. Now we see, and he got dropped because you know, Jarrett Hurd did it. Jarrett Hurd busted his eye in the 12th, and then afterwards he dropped him with a left hook, right? Because he couldn't see the left hook, and he's trying to pull out from being in the inside. He spun Jarrett Hurd, and he was trying to pull out from the inside, caught him with the left hook. And all of this just to say it was a close fight, no doubt about it. This one was a close fight. The Canelo fight was also a close fight, but Canelo resoundingly beat up Erislandy. Erislandy was running from Lara, from Canelo and stuff. This one was closer. Hurd was bullying him. He was bigger. He was stronger. He was trying to rough him up and stuff. But still, Erislandy Lara was still fighting back. And the difference, you see, if Erislandy Lara was fighting back against Canelo, he didn't do that. He was using too much real estate. If he had fought back against Canelo, like how he's fighting back against Jarrett Hurd, I think the fight would have been closer. But the reason why, after the fourth round, Canelo really started, because the fourth round, Canelo started landing body combinations at Erislandy Lara. And the whole fight changed after that. And Canelo lands clean shots on him. Okay, Hurd doesn't land that much clean shots. He landed some really nice clean shots in round 8 and round 9. But Canelo, I mean, when Canelo lands a shot on you, you know you're going to see it. Like, it's eye-catching, right? It's eye-popping, right? So Canelo was landing some real clean body work. Erislandy Lara was rolling it, riding it a little bit, but it was still getting hit to the body, which is why he fell in round, I think it was round 8 or 9. One of them, he slipped, supposedly slipped, but we know he didn't slip. We know he was taking punishment. He got weak. Okay, he came back. He rallied back. No doubt about it. In round 10, I think it was round 12, he tried to rally back. But at the end of the day, Lara got beaten by Canelo for the same reason he got beaten by Jarrett Hurd. The same reason he got dropped by Jarrett Hurd, right? Jarrett Hurd basically used Canelo's blueprint and beat Erislandy Lara by a smidge, but he still beat him, right? There's no denying about that because he dropped him in the critical 12th round, right? He dropped him. So he put the exclamation point on it. It's like Battle Jack when he dropped George Groves, and it was like Battle Jack even against Adonis Stevenson. He closed the show real hard, you know. And the interesting thing about that, though, Battle Jack was a smaller guy against Adonis Stevenson, whereas he was the bigger guy against George Groves, right? Still didn't hit as hard as probably Jarrett Hurd does, because Jarrett Hurd hits hard. I can tell you that. He is thudding shots. You can see that. He has thudding power. So I just wanted to say that to you guys because I was looking at the review of it, and me personally, I thought that Erislandy Lara could not win that fight, even if he had a 7-5 lead. I couldn't give it because Jarrett Hurd closed the show in sensational fashion, you know, he proved that he was the champion, and he totally was walking down Erislandy Lara. At least he was walking him down for a good portion of the fight, right? He was the guy walking down Erislandy Lara. He was the more active fighter coming down, especially in rounds 8, 9, even in round 10 and 11. He was a more active fighter, right? So I can understand if, like, for instance, AJ, you saying Hurd won 8 rounds. I guess you're doing it based on activity. You're probably looking at that, not so much precision, right? And accuracy. So I get it. But I personally didn't see it that wide at all. I didn't see Hurd dominating Lara. It didn't seem that way to me. He was definitely bringing the pain, though. He was bringing them punches in bunches at Erislandy Lara, and Erislandy Lara is a sniper. If Erislandy Lara made him miss a lot, but he didn't make him miss a lot. And it was good fighting on the inside, but when you really look at the punches that are actually landing, I would say that Lara and Hurd throughout the entire fight landed more or less about the same kind of punches that they landed. They landed the same number of punches, I'd say. It was pretty even. And what impressed me is Lara is much smaller than Hurd, and he was holding his own against Hurd. You know, you could see he wanted, but the knockdown happened so late in the fight. There was no way he could really come back and show that he brings back momentum like in the other rounds. And it didn't really matter from that point because it was the end of the fight, unless he knocked down Hurd, which was never going to happen. You know, Hurd basically had the advantage in the fight from there on in. So you were looking at Hurd with all that activity. Hurd's the one walking down Erislandy Lara. All things being equal, Lara lands a shot here or there on Hurd. You know, some good quality shots, but at the end of the day, Hurd just had a lot more activity, I think. And also, I think that Hurd had a decent defense so that Lara wasn't able to land as much as he would want to. On top of that, Hurd did some really excellent body work, which set up that knockdown in the 12th round, as well as we could say in the 8th and 9th, his really dominance of Erislandy Lara in those rounds where Erislandy Lara slipped up. So I was really impressed with what Jarrett Hurd did in that fight, even though he's not the best coordinated big guy, but he's a big guy. I mean, you can't expect him to be 100% coordinated. He fell down in the first round against Erislandy Lara, I think it was twice. But then he got his footing and everything and started to put together what he wanted to do in the fight. I was impressed by him. I was impressed by him. Um, so I guess Hurd's going to face Charlo soon. Charlo is a tricky dude because he has some really good footwork as well as he's got some decent power. I just don't think Charlo has the power to really keep Jarrett Hurd per se. Um, how do I say this? He's got the power to keep him honest, but he don't got power to stop him. I don't think he has power to knock him out. I don't think so. I think though that Charlo, well, it depends because again, it's not about how much blunt force power you have. It's how you set up the knockout, right? So Hurd has some little mistakes he does when he's mounting his offense where Charlo could capitalize on that. But I think Hurd has a decent chin and he's so big. He's a lot bigger than the super welterweights. You can see how much bigger this guy is than the super welterweight. So he's a big dude. You know, he's going to be able to absorb some of that punishment. But you can get his attention. You can get his attention and make him reset. That's what you can do. And I like that Lara stood in the center of the ring and went toe-to-toe with him. I thought that was good as well. Lara decided, you ain't pushing me back. I'm gonna stay in the center of the ring and fight you in close. You want to infight? Let's infight. You know, I like that. And it shows different aspects of Lara's game that we hadn't seen like that in a while. So I was impressed by him. What we got here? Hurd had more effective punches. I wouldn't. Well, obviously he dropped Lara, so that's one way of looking at it. I would say that the cleaner, more effective punches came from Lara for most of the fight. I think Lara was also the more precise and accurate puncher. But like you said, Jarrett Hurd, I mean, you can't Hurd be punching you blocking a punch, right? And your head snapping back, he got some power, man. He got some pop. And you have to look at that. You have to look at that in terms of effectiveness as well. So I would say that Hurd had more power, you know, and you could argue that he was more effective because of that. Even though I disagree with power being the more effective thing. I think what you may be saying, ATX, is that Hurd was landing the more effective punches in terms of body shots. He really broke Lara down to the body. And so I would have no argument with that, especially in the 8th and the 9th round. He softened up Lara with his eye and everything. You know, he was testing it out on him during the earlier rounds. You saw Hurd coming on in round 6, 7, and then he really let it rip in round 8 when Lara was trying to tie up. And then in round 9, he just continued that assault. And in round 10, 11, Lara started fighting back using his defense, decided to come in close, in fight with Hurd, and kind of stop that problem from happening. So I thought that Lara took 10 and 11 because of that. But Hurd was coming back at the end of round 11, by the way. Even though I think Lara, it was a nice chess match. It was a nice chess match. And I love how Hurd would change his stance sometimes or stutter step in a different kind of way to what we're used to seeing. And, you know, still he's doing like this, but he's changed his stance. Like he'll do like this, right? It's a stutter step, but he's shifting at the same time. So he's changed stance and he still keeps at bay. So he will roll this way. But okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. You can't see my footwork, unfortunately. But say I'm in the orthodox stance here, right? And I'm catching the punches. He was catching and parrying them punches really nice, right? And then I decide I'm coming in on you, right? I stutter step like this, boom, boom, right? But instead, I'm not done with it. I hit you, boom, 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 and I come back here, boom. I'm advancing on you. You see, I'm stutter stepping, and then I just snap back at the same time. So I'm snapping back at an angle. It's a different angle. I'm coming down this line. See what I'm saying? I'm coming down this line now. So it's like, I mean, boxing's so beautiful, man. So I started off here. I'm coming down this line. I'll roll you here, right? I stick my chin under here and I roll you here. Okay. Now I decide to shift it. But how do I have to do it? I got to throw a jab first. So I throw my jab, then I stutter step here. Okay. Now I'm over here, but I come back here, boom, right? But then I come back over here, boom. Okay. So I can catch and parry you either way. It's really cool because what you do, if you throw a jab, now the guy can counter your jab, but if he counters your jabs, let's say he wants to go over the jab this way, I'm shifting here. So I'm out of the center line. So he show a shot, I'm over here. You see what I'm saying? So it's man, that's old school. That's old school. That's all I'm gonna say. And kind of looked like a throwback fight, said AJATX. Yep, yep. And then he also he do this. He do this, which I find really cool. He do something like this. He dip. He dip and roll. So he hit you like this. Oh. I could change my stance. I changed my stance here. See, I was over here. Now I dip. So you can't catch me. And now I'm over here. I'm over on this side. See what I'm saying? So I like it. It was sweet. And Lara now, so he can adjust to the southpaw stance for a minute. You know what I'm saying? And Lara, of course, he's headhunting, so he ain't gonna hit. And even if you go with the body, the roll negates. So if I say for instance, I'm throwing a hook on you, right? As I'm doing that, well, first of all, my shoulder's gonna be way down here, so I can block it. You see Keith Thurman do it too. He dip under and he go, right? Right. But also, in addition, I could come up and counter you if I wanted to at a different angle if I time it right. So it's like, man, it's a lot of stuff I would love to tell you guys about boxing that I find beautiful, you know, but at the same time, you know, it is what it is, right? So, yeah, it was a throwback fight. And I think it was a close fight. It was a competitive fight. And when I watched Danny Jacobs versus Derevyanchenko, I love that fight because both guys had really good defense. They had also very good offense. There were things that they did very well. I love that fight. When I saw Erislandy Lara versus Jarrett Hurd, I love that fight. It was fantastic because, again, you're seeing skill going on in that fight. When I looked at Adonis Stevenson versus Badou Jack, I thought Badou Jack dominated a lot of the fight. But nonetheless, the thing that really got me was beautiful about that fight was how a smaller guy like Badou Jack, who has a certain degree of home skills, he doesn't have a whole bunch of skills, but he got a good set of home skills, was able to go, you know, close the distance, fight on the inside against Adonis Stevenson. And what impressed me was Adonis Stevenson was also able to do a little bit of inside work, a little bit of body punching, you know. And Badou Jack, obviously, his punches were not as effective as Adonis. And here again, Erislandy Lara, his punches are not as strong as Jarrett Hurd. Jarrett Hurd is obviously much bigger and stronger than him. And yet he held his own against Jarrett Hurd. Okay. So I was impressed by that. And it's those kinds of things I'm impressed with. You know, when you think of the Christian walk, sometimes we have to deal with situations that are so much more overwhelming than all present situation. But you know what's beautiful about that? The beauty of it is that with God, we are more than conquerors. And the impossible, you know, with man, it's impossible. But with God, all things are possible. It's very inspirational. So when I was watching these fights, watching the technique and all of that, I was inspired by how Erislandy Lara was able to handle the stories, not get stopped like how Austin Trout got stopped. And Austin Trout's an excellent southpaw. And also, in addition, I was also inspired by how Jarrett Hurd, in spite of the fact he's got a lot of skills, but he's not the most honed skill guy, how in spite of that, he's able to use what he is. He makes mistakes, he gets tagged, but he keeps on persisting onwards. That persistent, that will, I thought was beautiful. You know, in the Christian walk, you have to persist moving forward. And I thought that was something that, you know, was worth the while talking about here in this story. So, you know, like AJ ATX said, it's like a throwback fight, but I thought it was like poetry. It was like life as well, watching them two fighters fight. But AJ ATX, you know, you said it was a blowout and Lara got beaten up. I didn't see that though. Honestly, I was looking at a fight where the defensive skills of both fighters were pretty good. It was, you know, I thought it was a relatively high level of fighting, and I was impressed by it. I was impressed by both fighters. I thought that, yes, Lara got his eye banged up in round 8 and 9. He definitely did, and his body too. And then in round 12, he also got caught up a little bit in round 12, and I think that cost him the fight. But by and large, he handled himself quite well. I was impressed with a big guy like that. That's a big dude, man, and fit, athletic, big dude. And he handled himself well with Jarrett Hurd. Jarrett Hurd is pretty tough to beat right now, but if you have certain skills, I could see how you could beat him. You have to keep him off balance. He has a lot of activity. You have to quell it. There are certain things that Lara did in that fight that told me, okay, this is what you need to do against an opponent like that. You're not going to try and You can't stop the action. What I mean by that is, if you try to tie up Jarrett Hurd, that's not happening. He's too strong for you to tie him up and stop the action. You have to fight against him, and you have to be prepared to fight 12 rounds against him. However, you can get pauses in the fight by throwing him off balance. And, you know, some of it's kind of hard to do because he can play chess with you too, and he has certain skills like bobbing and weaving, dipping, you know, shifting, which work to his advantage. And he can show you different looks as well. He has different looks he can show you. So you have to be, like Floyd Mayweather would say, you have to be ahead of this guy. You have to make him react to you. And you don't have to be the heaviest puncher in the world to do that. It's how you use your footwork. It's how you use your angles. And like I said, the difference between Floyd and a guy like Erislandy Lara and a guy like Austin Trout, and who was the other people they praised back in the day that they said, Floyd should face these guys. There's a difference between a magician and a technician. A technician knows how to do technical things in boxing. Floyd was able to adjust to his opponent. So whatever his opponent dealt to him, he can adjust the distance, the range, and he can make some creative shots even. New shots. He can take his opponent's shot selection and use it back against them. He can use his opponent's defense and use it back against them. That's the difference between a magician and a technician. So what Floyd did in the ring is he adjusted to whatever you gave him. And even though he may give you trademark shots, they're adjusted for distance and length and all of that stuff, right? Based on your opponent. So that's where Floyd is different to Erislandy Lara. And that's why I try to explain to you guys, he would beat Erislandy Lara easily because he would do things that Erislandy Lara, like I said, he's a stick and move kind of fighter. That's what he do. He'll hit you the 1-2, boom, boom, right? Sharp shoot you, get you with the uppercut, use the jab a little bit, check hook you. That's it, right? Floyd does a lot more than that. You see what I'm saying? He's very creative in the ring, and he will make adjustments to it. And so there's the difference between a technical fighter. Erislandy Lara has his collection of skills that he's honed very well. Floyd, on the other hand, he may have a collection of skills, and he might borrow skills he sees from you. He's be looking you head to toe, and he will adapt and actually add different things to it. And just the way how he does it, and the timing and his movement and all of that. You just go watch Floyd versus Berto fight. Floyd punches wasn't, they weren't the greatest. It wasn't. Berto was the stronger guy in there, but he made Berto look stupid straight through the fight because he just could adjust the distance. He had this amazing footwork that he could do different things with his feet. He would get into position in different places and just clean shot Berto. All I'm saying is you look at what this guy could do, and what he at least used to be able to do. I don't know if he can do it now. And, it's great to see Erislandy Lara the tight defense, but one of the things Erislandy Lara needed to do was make Jarrett Hurd miss, because you expend a lot of energy when you miss. So he had to make him miss more. And Jarrett Hurd was hitting arms and hands. That's easier than not connecting with anything. That tires out of opponent. And Floyd's a guy, he don't just set up defense where he's blocking shots, but he's also setting up defense so you can miss him completely and expend a lot of energy. So there's all these little things Floyd does, and he make you miss on the inside. Canelo's also good at doing that, making you miss an uppercut on the inside, making you miss a shot on the inside. And it was more Hurd that was making, I think, Erislandy Lara miss than Erislandy Lara making Hurd miss. You know what I mean? Anyways, so that's my breakdown of that fight, and I thought I'd give this late review on it. It was a close fight, in my opinion. I thought that Hurd did enough to win that fight, definitely. I think that the judges got it right. One judge had it the way how I was kind of thinking of it, that Lara won rounds 1 to 5, and then he won rounds 10 and 11. But you could easily argue that Jarrett Hurd won any one of those rounds, because all of those rounds that I thought Lara won, you could argue Hurd was the more active fighter. Hurd was the one throwing more punches. Hurd was the one walking down Lara. So you could argue that Hurd won any one of those punches, one of those rounds. And from there, you could just say, well, there you go, because the rounds were kind of close. Those were close rounds. That's why if anybody said, this is a close fight, the only really clearly won rounds, that you could say Lara won were probably one of the earlier rounds. And he did come back in round 10 and 11. But But Hurd also did some work in 10 and 11, you know, and he was active all the time. So it depends on how you look at it and how you examine the rounds and how you're scoring. So I could see that this was a dead even fight. And I think the icebreaker was when Hurd knocked down Erislandy Lara. Not even when he burst his eye. That was good too. That was good damage. But when he knocked him down, he took that round completely. And if you look, this is why Hurd deserved to win. Hurd won completely rounds 12, 8, and 9. Nobody else in this fight completely dominated the fight or rounds and did damage like that. Hurd was the guy, so that's why he won that fight, I think. And Lara didn't deserve to win it at all. He literally took that fight from Lara, for sure. So, but in terms of that matchup, it's really a nice matchup. It's a nice matchup. I would like to see Hurd and Erislandy Lara go at it again sometime in the future. But then again, Lara's kind of old. I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? Yeah, so that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your comments in the comment section below if you so wish as well. I wish you guys a good evening. AJATX, you made me go look at the fight. I went and looked at it from boxing eyes and boxing perspective. Took the sound off. I didn't want to hear the commenters and what they were saying. It was a Russian feed anyway, and it was a good fight. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It was a good fight. It was a nice little fight. And Batman 106, you Go Films? Hey man, shout out to you Go Films. You know, it's good to see you, man. I haven't been able to talk anything about Aquaman. I saw there was a new Aquaman trailer that came out. I'll talk about that probably when I'm done with this. I'm talking a lot. This will make me relax a little bit, but I need to go take a rest, man. I'm broken down, and I haven't taken a rest yet. But I like to talk, so I'll spend a little time talking with you guys. But yeah, so that was the fight, and quite frankly, I was satisfied with it. I think people got their money's worth. I thought it was a chess match. I like that. I like that these are high level sort of boxing matches, and it really does remind us of a throwback fight with a lot more skill, a lot more bigger guys. Not a lot more skill. I mean, a lot bigger guys, a much more modern version of a throwback fight is what I would say. And I think that Jarrett Hurd has some really interesting skill sets that he brings to the table, which is what makes him a little bit more difficult to fight. And he really takes it up as he proceeds. He wants to break down the body, and he has enough thudding power to be able to punch through sometimes your guard and make your head snap back. Unless you're like Floyd Mayweather, you keep your guard a certain distance away. You see, how you hold your guard is another story. That's another story for another day. And Lara did hold his own against that guy. So kudos to Lara. You know, and I think that guy is a better fighter than Gennady Golovkin. Jarrett Hurd is a better fighter, not as sharp as Gennady Golovkin. We got a lot more skills than Gennady Golovkin. So that could be an indicator of what would have happened if Erislandy Lara faced Golovkin. He would have given Golovkin some problems for sure. So that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your comments below, and don't forget, you can also donate and subscribe to my channel. Some of you already subscribed, but you can also donate to my channel. How do you do that? Very simple. You just leave the comments in the comment section, and I'll tell you exactly what you have to do to be able to donate to the channel. I'm happy for any donations that you can offer. All right. Blessings to you guys. Peace. Much love. God is good. I mean, I look at what God has done in my life, my mom's life, my immediate family's life. We're coming together as a group. It's still tough because, you know, it's different people from different backgrounds with different ideas of what to do. But still, it's just nice to see everybody kind of coming together. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And Jesus is awesome, man. I'm telling you guys, man, you're missing out on something if you're not with him. You guys have a good one.